I struggle to balance my personal life with the gym, so I cut my gym time in half and got into the best shape of my life because I used this tactic that allowed me to build muscle in less time. The tactic that I used was intensity. Now, instead of me telling you what that is, I'd like to show you what it is by using an example. So let's say that there's a version of me that goes into the gym and grabs a 25-pound dumbbell and does 4 sets of bicep curls for 12 reps. But his last rep looks like this. Now there's a different version of me that goes into the gym, grabs 40-pound dumbbells and does 2 sets of bicep curls for 8 reps. But his last rep looks like this. Which version of me do you think builds more muscle? If you said the second version of me, then you'd be right. Because yes, while the first version of me does more sets and more reps, he doesn't train with intensity. Because look at his last rep. Do you think he could have done any more reps? Probably. But if you look at the second version of me, even if he had a gun to his head, do you think he could have done another rep? Probably not. Implementing this intensity tactic was the biggest reason that my best client, Daniel, was able to gain 11 pounds of muscle in 90 days. So Daniel used to spend 2 hours in the gym 6 days a week. He was training for 12 hours per week, but he couldn't gain any muscle. And he was convinced that it was because he was a hard gainer and he had a fast metabolism, but the reality was a lot more depressing. The reason that Daniel couldn't gain any muscle was just because he wasn't pushing himself hard enough. And yeah, the truth stung and it sucked to hear that the reason that you couldn't gain muscle was because you were pretty much training like a wuss. But once I understood what the reason was, it gave me a very easy problem to solve. And so after I started working with Daniel, I told him to reduce his gym time and increase how much he was pushing himself. Lo and behold, he started gaining muscle again. He started noticing changes in his body every week. He started gaining muscle in his chest, arms, back, pretty much every muscle that he was training was growing. He got stronger on all of the exercises that he was doing. And the best part is that he had more free time to do whatever else it is that he wanted to do because he wasn't spending all day in the gym. And he was able to do this because since he increased the quality of his workouts, he could reduce the quantity of his workouts and get the same, if not better results. Now, before I show you exactly how I get all of my clients to start training harder, we've got to understand why we have to train hard in the first place for us to grow muscle. Because you're probably like, wait, you're saying that everything I've been doing up until this point, working harder, is useless and it's a waste of time? Why and how do you know? All we've really got to do to understand why is look into what drives muscle growth. And luckily, it's not that difficult to understand what drives muscle growth because the nature of your muscles and your body is pretty simple. It's not really rocket science. Your muscles live by the same rule that every living organism lives by, which is adapt or die. Because your body naturally wants to maintain stable conditions at all times. It doesn't want to change. So when you want to lose fat or you want to grow muscle, your body's naturally going to be resistant towards it because your body perceives change as a threat. In other words, if you want to change the way your body looks, you're going to have to put it in a position where it has no choice other than to change. And you can only do that by challenging your body and pushing its fucking limits because other than that, there's no other way you're going to be comfortable and have easy workouts and have your body be like, yeah, you know what? I think I need to change. Because keep in mind, it doesn't want to change, so it won't change unless it needs to. Believe it or not, whoa, it's raining. Now to bring this all back to the original example, yes, the first version of me did more work on paper, right? On paper, he did more sets, he did more reps, so he did more. But he did more only in terms of quantity, not in terms of quality. He didn't push his biceps hard enough for them to need to grow. Therefore, his biceps won't grow. And so yes, while the first version of me did do more quantity, he didn't have any quality, which is why the second version of me that did less sets and less reps can build the same amount of muscle, if not more muscle, than the first version of me. It all just comes down to the quality of his workouts. So Sultan, how do we increase the quality of our workouts? Great question. There's 4 or 5 things that you can do, but for the sake of keeping this video short and sweet, I'm just gonna talk about one. The only thing I want you to keep in mind after watching this video when you train is how many reps are you leaving in the tank? Because that's the only thing you need to consider in terms of how hard you're training. Because if there's one thing that you can do to keep track of workout quality, it is to simply track your intensity. And again, like I said before, doing more sets and more reps and spending more time in the gym doesn't mean you're training more intensely. You're confusing quality with quantity, which is a very common mistake. But again, it is ultimately a mistake that you should avoid. Because what can happen if you go down this path of confusing quality with quantity is you could be that person who spends hours in the gym and still struggles to build muscle because they don't know what they're doing. Now, how many reps do you leave in the tank? For this, I have a framework called the rule of 3. Basically, every time you finish a set, you need to ask yourself, if I had a gun to my head, how many more reps could I have done? And if the answer is more than 3, then you need to start training harder. Stop focusing on everything else, keep your form good, and start training harder. Because if you're leaving more than 3 reps in the tank, unless you're a complete beginner and you've never set foot in a gym before, you're not going to build any muscle. And so your honest answer to the question, how many more reps could I have done if I had a gun to my head, should never be more than 3. And I really want to emphasize the word honest here. Because when I first started trying to see how many reps I was leaving in the tank, I thought that I was always leaving 0 reps in the tank. Oh yeah, bro, every set I do is like all out, like balls to the walls. But I was lying to myself. And I know that because I look back at my training now and I know, for examples, I used to do 30 sets of chest per week. I train chest twice a week, and per every chest day, I do 5 chest exercises with 3 sets each. Right? So that's 15 sets per day, 30 sets per week. And my chest was tiny. Now I do 10 sets of chest per week and my chest is bigger than it's ever been. And I was only able to figure out that I wasn't training hard enough when I trained with a partner who was holding me accountable. So I had this partner come into the gym one time and I thought, yeah, bro, I train hard. Like, yeah, I can keep up with you. And this guy was way more muscular than I was. So he said, yeah, we'll see. And so we did 2 chest exercises. And by the end of them, I was cramping up so hard I couldn't do the other 3 because he actually made sure that I wasn't leaving more than 2 to 3 reps in the tank. That was the first time in my life when I actually understood what intensity meant, which is why having someone hold you accountable can be so powerful. By the way, if you want someone experienced holding you accountable, you can click the link in the description and join my school group. Right now, it's very small and it's very new, so you'd get a lot of one-on-one time with me. You can click the link in the description to start completely for free. Now, if you don't have a partner holding you accountable in the gym, don't worry, all hope is not lost. You can still see whether or not you're leaving too many reps in the tank when you're in the gym. And all you've got to do is reach into your pocket and pull out this amazing piece of technology that I call a cell phone or a mobile phone, depending upon where you're from, and film yourself in the gym. Believe it or not, watching videos of myself working out has helped me a ton because I thought that my form was damn near perfect in the gym, especially on the weighted chin up. Because I was so strong on the weighted chin up that it was where I got my sense of pride from, right? It stroked my ego to see how much weight I could attach to my waist and do chin ups. But now that I look back at my form, I realized that my form was fucking trash. I wasn't even going all the way down, which is something that I tell all of my clients to do now. And honestly, bro, the reason I'm telling you this and the reason I ask my clients to record themselves, and honestly, the entire reason for me creating this channel is because I believe that a man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So don't make the same dumbass mistakes that I made and record yourself when you're in the gym. Now, the last thing I want to say is when you start training harder, you're probably going to start feeling more of a burning sensation in your muscles, and it's not going to be pretty. It's going to hurt and it's going to make you feel discomfort. So I want you to pay attention to what I'm going to say next. The burning sensation that you feel is going to fade, but the muscle that you build will go with you everywhere that you go. When you walk into a room full of strangers, instantly you earn their respect because they perceive you as hardworking. Whether they say it out loud or not, they know subconsciously. You will definitely be more attractive to women. And if you have kids, you'll be able to do physical activities with them, play sports and be active and just be that really fun dad. Also, they'll respect you more because their friends are probably going to go, oh my God, your dad's like so buff, and they're going to think that's cool. Obviously, it doesn't really matter what little kids think of you, but you earn the respect of your kids, which I assume really matters. So if a tactic makes you more admirable, more respected, and more attractive, all whilst saving you time, then it might be worth the pain. Now, if you want to save even more time in the gym, then you can watch this video where I explain the second tactic that I use to reduce gym time. I'll see you in the next one.